Welcome to Whisk is a Journey. My name is Peter Fasciano, and you're watching my Monday series currently on single barrel bourbons. Today, we're going to be taking a look at a single barrel bourbon coming out of Virginia, kind of. The offering that we're doing today is the John J. Bowman Pioneer Spirit Single Barrel. Like I just mentioned, it is a Virginia straight bourbon whiskey coming in at 50% ABV, 100 proof. This does not have an age statement, but apparently I think the rumor out there is it's anywhere from 9 to 10 years old. And this is pretty interesting. This is actually triple distilled, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit once we get into the actual facts or the informational part of the video. 750 milliliter bottle, and I paid $59.99, and I'm in Phoenix, Arizona for this bottle. Let's go ahead and pour it, nose it, taste it, talk about it, and then if you stick around until the end, I'm going to go ahead and give it a score. This is actually the second to last bourbon that I'm going to be doing based on my top 5 or top 6 single barrel bourbons that I did a couple of weeks ago. Let's go ahead and get this thing on the nose and tell you what I think. Right now, I'm getting a bunch of caramel. This is sweet even before I get it up to my nose. It's sweet caramel and some vanilla. On top of that, there's also some honey. I would say the dominant note is sweet, and that sweetness is caramel and honey. Back behind everything, I get a little bit of cherry, and then there's a touch, a small amount of cinnamon spice. I tell you what, I don't remember this smelling as good as it does right now when I initially did my single barrel bourbon blind flights. This smells amazing. Get a little bit of citrus in here as well. Maybe that's an orange note. Yeah, this is extremely vibrant on the nose. I'm shocked that it's this way because I didn't, like I mentioned before, I did not get this originally when I did my flight. And maybe this will surprise me on the palate. All right, so let's go ahead and get it on the palate and I'll let you know what I think of it. There's definitely orange. That's one of the first notes that I've got. Maybe it's just in my head when I got it on the nose. It's heavy on the orange. Cinnamon, vanilla, honey. That caramel that was on the nose is not necessarily as dominant on the palate, but it is there. A little bit of oak, but not a whole bunch. You know, that is my first sip, and it's my first sip of the day, and you can never trust that first sip. So let's get into that second one. Let me concentrate on the finish. And I know this might sound a little bit strange. I am going to put a little bit of water in here as I start talking about it, just because I do that with all of my whiskeys, and this one's no different. So let's get that second sip down, see what else I can get, add some water to it, and then move on. Okay, a little bit more oak this time. That barrel tannin on the side of my tongue is there as it rolls back to the back of the palate. That vanilla, the caramel, the orange note, maybe a slight amount of chocolate, maybe like a chocolatey orange, good amounts of oak. That cinnamon note is there, and that finish tapers off and disappears. I would say that this would be a medium finish. I think this is a very light and vibrant sip. I'm actually liking this. I don't remember liking it that much when I had it within the flight. And that could very well be because of the other bourbons that I had in the flight. It may have taken away some of the subtle nuances that this is offering. By itself, it's a fantastic pour, but throw it into a mix of other bourbons and it might start to be left behind a little bit. So let's go ahead and add maybe 2 drops of water here. Get a little bit into some of the details of this. Like I had mentioned at the very beginning, this is a Virginia kind of whiskey. The rumor is out there, and I don't necessarily know if this is still a rumor or if this is now actually fact. So there are a lot of people out in the YouTube world that are a lot smarter than I am. I don't claim to know everything. So please let me know in the comments down below if any of these things have now turned to yes, this is actually what it is. My research that I'm getting is this is owned by Sazerac. It didn't always used to be, but currently it is owned by Sazerac, and they're actually taking distillate from Buffalo Trace. The rumor is that it could be mash bill 1 and or mash bill 2, either them separately or a combination of the two. They send it to Virginia. They put it through a copper pot still, And then this ends up being a triple distilled whiskey at the very end. Everything is aged and barreled in Virginia at the A. Smith Bowman Distillery. And because this is a single barrel, you're definitely going to get, not definitely, but it's possible that you're going to get single barrel variation. So again, if you have had the John J. Bowman single barrel, let me know in the comments down below what you think of it. There is a barcode on the back, but it's printed so faintly. I don't know if there's any information within that barcode that gives me additional information about this specific single barrel. If it is, let me know. And you know what? Actually, if I look through the bottom of this, I can actually see the barcode better through the whiskey instead of looking at it on the back. So maybe once the video is over, I'm going to try to decipher this a little bit. I have to read it backwards, and then maybe I can get some more information. For right now, as this water has done its thing, let me go ahead and coat the glass a little bit. I'm going to get a nosing in and a last taste before I move on to the score. A little bit of spice. So I think that cinnamon note has come out. There's definitely some oak. The caramel and the vanilla and the honey are all still there. The chocolate orange is here. I'm telling you, this smells really good. I'm really surprised on how good this individual sip or this individual glass is coming across. All right, let's get it on the palate. All right, definitely a little bit more spicy with the water. And I've noticed that with my Irish whiskeys and some of the scotches that I've had, when you add water to it, maybe it has something to do with the water-soluble particles or the non-water-soluble particles. And as it separates, maybe what is separating is more of the oak and more of the oak spice rather than the sweetness. Because on that third sip, this is definitely a lot spicier than it was on my first two. All those notes are still there. I don't think those 2 or 3 drops of water actually killed it. Good vanilla, good caramel. That orange note is there. The cinnamon spice is elevated just a little bit. I would have to say oak, chocolate, and a little bit of tobacco or leather. And maybe that water did subdue the finish. So with the water, I think this is a little bit shorter than medium. Let me get this one last sip in, and then we'll give it a score. Yeah, most definitely. There is a prickly sensation on the tip of my tongue that comes across as spice. The oak note starts to elevate, and then as it starts to travel to the back of the palate, I'm getting the orange, I'm getting the chocolate, I'm getting the vanilla, I get that caramel. And then dark chocolate has a little bit of a bitterness, and I get that on the very back end. The spice is lingering around, and it just fades away. So with the water, short to medium finish, all around, I think this is a pretty good pour. I'm pleasantly surprised. I was not expecting this based on my results of my single barrel bourbon flight that I did a while ago. All right, so if you are new here, my scoring system is out of 5 stars, and I cannot rate this up against all of my other Monday series. I'm only specifically looking at my single barrel bourbons, and I think what I'm getting right now is pretty delicious. Because of the short to medium finish, you're going to want to keep going back for more. I think I would have liked this at a slightly higher ABV or a slightly higher proof. I'm actually liking the water that I've added in here with that cinnamon spice. I was expecting the water to subdue the orange, the chocolate, the vanilla, and the caramel, and it really hasn't. So because of all of that, I would end up putting this at 3.5. I feel that it's well-rounded. I think it offers enough on the nose and on the palate that would want you to keep going back to this. And mentioning it one last time, I don't think this holds up in a flight of whiskeys, but on its own, the fruitiness, the oak, the spice, the vanilla, the caramel, all of that, I think this is an extremely enjoyable pour. And because of that, 3.5. I think that's going to be a fair score for this individual whiskey, for this Virginia bourbon. So with all of that, I think I'm going to call this video good. Please let me know in the comments down below if you have had John J. Bowman. I know maybe I'm not finished. I have a couple more things to say. I know John J. Bowman is not necessarily widely available. I have only seen this bottle one time in a mom and pop store, and I've never seen it again. There's a new liquor store called Trevor's that is out in Scottsdale, and I think they're opening a couple of more stores. I think they had one of those newer single barrels on the allocated counter, but I got there a little bit too late, so I didn't pick one up. But other than that, those are the only two times that I've ever seen this on the shelf. So I don't think it's widely available in Phoenix, Arizona. How about you? What is the distribution like in your area? Are these readily available? And if they are available, are they allocated, or do they just get thrown up onto the counter? I do see the port finish and the small batch, but I never see the single barrel other than those first two times. So do all those things that YouTubers ask you to do. Like, subscribe, share, comment down below. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Just go and click on that little subscribe button right there. Share this with somebody in the whiskey world that might get enjoyment out of it. And that's where I'm going to leave it. So wherever you're at in your journey, I hope you're enjoying it. And until the next time, we'll talk to you later.